Sucks to be you.
Since some of us are arguing over stupider things on the internet, I decided to go back and take a look at some of my favorite Spider-Man TV shows. Spider-Man the Animated Series and The Spectacular Spider-Man was my childhood, and in my opinion, it was peak Spider-Man. But one TV show is like the Yamcha out of all of the Spider-Man shows, and that show is Spider-Man the New Animated Series. Spider-Man the New Animated Series aired in July of 2003 and ended in September of 2003. Yeah, it only ran for one season with 13 episodes, but it's funny because it didn't air on Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, or Fox. It aired on MTV of all places. When you think of MTV in the early 2000s, you're probably thinking about nothing but late 90s nostalgia, but we've been spoiled with so many good Spider-Man shows, it's so easy to look over the good ones. Spider-Man to Nos follows the events of the first Spider-Man film, with Norman Osborn being dead and Harry Osborn still having that hatred towards Spider-Man. It's supposed to take place in the Sam Raimi universe, or the Raimiverse as many people calls it, but it's not really canon because Curt Connors dies in his episode, but Curt Connors is in Spider-Man 2 and 3. But I appreciate them for connecting it and expanding it, giving us a little bit of backstory in his episode, Law of the Jungle. The suit looks good also, just thought I'd mention that. The show also follows Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson, and Harry Osborn attending Empire State University. We've seen Peter attend college in other animated series before, but it adds more of a early 2000s spin to it. The music, the outfits, it just screams early 2000s, and it makes me feel so old when I'm only 19. The show also follows your basic Spider-Man format. Peter Parker wants something but can't have it because, Spider-Man stuff.
This isn't studying. It should be no big. Why not just go to a party like everyone else? Just because I'm not like everyone else? I bet the X-Men get to go to parties.
Now I know what you're gonna say. The animation looks really weird, I know, but you have to remember that this came out in 2003. Not everything is gonna be a Pixar or a DreamWorks. It's fine. Does it make it look dated? Hell yes it does, but don't let that scare you away from it. And they do reuse some animation, but I'm not faulting them for that. The show also has Spider-Man going up against some of the coolest villains in his rogues gallery, being Electro, Kraven, Kingpin, Silver Sable, and the Lizard, and that's just to name a few. Some villains are really good and they get pretty good backstories to where you actually feel for them, with Max Dillon aka Electro being the prime example. He's basically Arthur Fleck, but with sparkle fingers. I mean, come on, the dude just wanted friends and was tired of being walked over. I guaranteed none of you felt sympathy for Doug. That's his name, right, Doug? Yeah, Doug, when he offed him. I couldn't be the only one who didn't care. But dude's kind of a simp though.
Don't you remember? You smiled at me. You cared. No one ever cared before.
No, it's not like you're being...
You do care for me, don't you, Sally? Don't you?
The show also gives us some new characters and some new villains like Talon, I believe that's how you say his name, please excuse me if I said that wrong, who's pretty much Black Cat, and Indy, who's basically a mix of Betty Brant and Gwen Stacy. Aside from the new characters, our main three standouts are good. Harry Osborn, who's exactly like James Franco, aside from the look. They're basically the same character, always calling Spider-Man a murderer, except dude's a total Chad now.
Does that make me shallow?
Mary Jane, who's kind of just there, I mean, she's fine, mostly based around her Ultimate Comics counterpart, and I love the love triangle they did with her near the end of the series, but, she's just kind of there.
Two women, both into Peter, if he plays his cards right. Nah.
She's a good character, though. And this version of Peter Parker reminds me of Andrew Garfield's version of Peter Parker in Spider-Man. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe this is what we would have gotten if we got to see The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and him, actually be in college. I don't know, maybe it's just me. The voice work in this is amazing as well, by the way, with some guest appearances by Stan Lee, Rob Zombie, Keith David, and Michael Clark Duncan, just to name a few. Our main trio also does well with their voice acting. I'm going to put their names on the screen. I think it's Lisa and Ian. honestly can't remember. I don't want to butcher the last names, but they do really well as Mary Jane and Harry Osborn in this. But Neil Patrick Harris as Peter Parker in Spider-Man is so good. He has the many quips of Spider-Man, but he portrays the voice acting a little bit different. I'd say different than any Spider-Man voice actor we've had. His Peter Parker voice is way more quiet and toned down, but his Spider-Man is more energetic, just like Andrew in his movies. The show was produced by Brian Michael Bendis and was originally going to be an adaptation of my favorite Spider-Man comics, Ultimate Spider-Man. But due to the success of the first Spider-Man film, the Raimi film, Sony wanted to tie it into that. Well, like I said earlier, it addresses some things in the Raimiverse, but tells its own story for the most part. But I love this show for two reasons. One, for nostalgia, and two, because it's mature. Looking at all of the Spider-Man shows before this, and the one that became before this show was Spider-Man Unlimited, it focused to more of a kid audience. This show can cater to kids, teens, and young adults, or old adults too, whatever you want to say. The show doesn't shy away from characters getting killed, decapitated, the topic of depression and trying to fit in. Yeah, it has all of that. It does cater to kids because it has a kid aspect, but it's really mature for a Spider-Man show, and I wish we had more shows like it. Sadly, as good as the show was, it only ran for one season. Due to the ratings, MTV didn't think it could warrant a second season, and it really does suck because the show ended on a cliffhanger. Spoilers, two twins controls Peter's mind, basically messing with him, forcing him to kill his then girlfriend, or love interest, Indy. The entire city turns against him and he stops being Spider-Man. The second season would have given us more of Kraven, it would have given us the Vulture, and even Mysterio. It would have been fun to see Peter pull himself out of this slump. Some episodes do have a bit of a slow momentum. I went back this morning before filming this video to watch a couple episodes, and some of them do move really slow, but some of my favorite episodes of the series are The Party, When Sparks Fly, Law of the Jungle, Keeping Secrets, and Mind Games Part 1 and Part 2. I like all of the other episodes as well, and I really like the Kingpin one. That one was really good. Also, they made Kingpin an African American character. I know that probably would piss you off if you've never seen the series before, but it's to connect with the Daredevil movie that also came out the same year. So yeah, he's even voiced by the same actor who played Kingpin in that film. So yeah, if that's gonna make you mad, oh well. I just wanted to share that. If you've never seen this show before, please give it a watch if you haven't seen it. If you can find it online or buy the volumes on eBay or something, please watch it. However, I know you can watch some of the videos on YouTube or some of the episodes on YouTube. However, some of them are blocked, so I'll put some of the episodes in the description that you can check out. It'll take you straight to the YouTube video. Definitely one of the most underrated Spider-Man shows we've seen in a long time. So with that, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. As always, if you want to see more Spider-Man videos like this in the future, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Join the family, help the channel grow. I'll put some other YouTubers' videos in the description, like Channel Pup and some other YouTubers. Please be sure to watch their videos and support them as much as possible. And since I'm going through my top 3 favorite Spider-Man shows, I have something special planned for the next one, and you'll just have to be subscribed to the channel to see what it is. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me, and I will see you next time. This has been the Web Warrior, signing off.